No answer from my family. Okay, here we go again. Hey guys, my name is Victoria, welcome to my channel. I am filming, drumroll. What month is it? My June wrap up! Yay! I always say yay. I should put that on a shirt. Just 1,000 times yay because I say it all the time. Maybe at the end of the year you will get a yay compilation. I am again showing you all the books that I read in June. It's smaller this time because I only gotten around to read 6.5 books. That's alright, I would say, because I had to deal with some things personally, mentally, and I also visited my friends in the city, so I didn't have that much time, but I still have 7 books to show you today. Let's get right into it before we talk too much. The first book that I started and did not continue because I really did not like it was Captive Prince by C.S. Packet. This is the story of a banished prince who is stripped of his identity and sent to serve the prince of an enemy nation as a pleasure slave. This is, I think, the first part of a trilogy. Then Damon has this sort of thing with Prince Laurent, and I thought it was gonna be like a love story because I saw some stuff on Tumblr. I read more than half of the book and I really did not like it. I believe it is a love story in the end. I don't know the whole thing, the whole saga, but I just really did not like any of the characters. Speaking of character arcs and development and relationship development, I just didn't see anything coming. The chemistry between these two guys, I think it was supposed to, was just not attractive to me. I just really did not like it. Obviously, it's the first part of a trilogy, so a lot can happen, and I believe that's why this book is very slow, or at least the first 150 pages, but I could not stand it. I first of all did not like the scenery at all, even though it's greatly written. That's a thing I liked, because the author really invested a lot of time into research and writing, also building the scenery, the entire kingdom, but sadly I disliked every single one of the characters so far. I couldn't see any sort of bond between these two characters happening in the future, and I realized I wasn't even trying to look for a reason for these two to finally bond or eventually. I was so indifferent to it because I did not like it. The story is very brutal, it's very graphic, so it's not at all like a traditional enemies to lovers. It's really upfront, and there are some things happening and I thought, oh my god, okay. So not something I liked. I bet it's historically accurate because back then people did anything with slaves. Actually, that's still a thing today, just maybe not in the Western culture that I'm privileged to live in. Anyways, I really did not like it, and it did not bring me out of my reading slump, and I thought it would because I was in a reading slump for 2 months. So sadly, I did not continue this, but I still wanted to show you. Yee! The first audiobook I listened to was Percy Jackson, and in German it's called Der Fluch des Titan by Rick Riordan. Rick, I'm sorry. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Titan's Curse. I listened to obviously the first 2 parts before, and I think I listened to this part in a day, but sadly I realized that these were heavily abridged, like so heavily abridged that half of the information or half of the content of the book is not even on the audiobook, which really sucks. Honestly, I'd prefer it if there weren't any Percy Jackson books instead of the abridged ones, because you spend a long time listening to those, but you know that in the end, you still miss half of the content. That sucks. I gave this book 4 stars. I believe it was really enjoyable, but I plan on re-listening to this one and also the first 2 prior parts in the complete audiobook. I found a website where I can listen to it. I believe everyone knows Percy Jackson. If you don't, it's the story of Percy, and he is not a normal boy. He's the son of a Greek Olympian god. I will not tell you which one because it is a spoiler for the first book, and there are multiple parts. I think there are 6 in the series, I'm not sure. It's a huge saga and it's great. I love it. Even though it's not accurate to Greek mythology, but that's fine. I mean, I like the liberty that Rick Riordan took. So the next one is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penna, and this is a multi-perspective story. It is a story with multiple perspectives, specifically speaking 3. It's about Nella, Eliza, and Caroline. The basic story is the perspective of Nella is told in the 18th century, and she's a very old apothecary, and she sells poison to troubled women who use this poison to kill either their husbands or just the oppressive men in their lives. So she's saving women's lives but also sort of killing them with the poisons, and she's producing them all by herself. Nella has done this job for years, but she did not expect for a 12-year-old girl named Eliza to come in and acquire poison. That's how their story started, and it gets more dangerous and it gets big, and it's a lot of fun to read. And 200 years later, aspiring historian Caroline Paswell is sort of running from her own demons because she is taking a sort of vacation in the UK. I will not tell you why because it would spoil things, but little does she know that this London trip is about to change her life in a very different way than she thought, because when she discovers a clue to London's long unsolved apothecary murders, Caroline's appendant presence soon collides with an explosive history, binding her fate to Nella's and Eliza's in a stunning twist that transcends the barrier of time. I had really high hopes for this book. I gave this in the end a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. Sometimes it was a little slow, but there are some twists that I didn't expect. I really liked Caroline, I liked Nella, and I liked Eliza, and that certainly helped when you read a book that's told from their perspective. What I really liked is the aspect of just feminism. They were all women and they lived very different lives, but there's a thing that binds them together, and that's what I really liked. There are some aspects that I really, really loved and that really speak of wanting to be free, independence, and rethinking your entire life, and I really liked that aspect. So this was a success, even though sometimes it was a little slow. An audiobook I listened to at the beginning of the month was Rick by Alex Gino. I gave this book a 3 out of 5. Actually, I give this book a 4 out of 5 now because I talked about it in my 15 books to read in Pride Month video. By the way, just because it's not Pride Month anymore, you can still enjoy all this literature, so please do. Rick is the story of Rick, a middle school kid who is experiencing things for the first time, grows up in a very open-minded environment, and that was my favorite aspect of this book, and that's why I believe it's not only targeted to a young audience but also to young adults like me or parents especially. Rick's parents are very open-minded, so they ask things like on his first day of school, did you meet someone, a girl or a boy? And then they're very inclusive and very open-minded, and the school is too. Like there's a club for LGBT youth, and it's really charming, especially when you read about it as an adult who, or as a person who did not grow up that way, because when I was growing up I was never exposed to any sort of LGBTQ plus content or anything or anyone really, which is quite sad. But reading or listening to this book really showed me how hopefully most kids or a lot of kids get to grow up now, and that's what I really liked about this book. Rick gets to meet a lot of new people, he gets to question a lot of things, and he sort of doesn't experience any attraction to anyone. He's not really interested in this crush culture. Then he learns new terms like non-binary and asexual and aromantic and pansexual, lots of other sexualities and aspects to the spectrum that are very important, but he wasn't exposed to yet, and he gets to learn about it. So it's a really inclusive, really nice and charming book that is very short and very fast-paced, and I listened to it in one day and I thought it was really nice. Okay, next book I read is Nick and Charlie by Alice Oseman. I bought this book recently and you will see it in an upcoming vlog next week on Thursday, so make sure to subscribe because there's a huge vlog coming plus a book haul within that vlog. Okay, I bought this book because it's very short, and I also already read something by Alice Oseman. I read Loveless in March and I loved it so much. It kind of looks like a children's book because the font is so big and the line breaks are huge, or the space between the lines is huge. So easy, but there are also comics in here which is like really, really cute. I really enjoyed this. And Nick and Charlie is about, guess who? Nick and Charlie. They are both high school students. Nick is a senior, so he's graduating, and Charlie is a junior. They have been dating for 2 years and Nick is about to leave for uni, and that causes some tension and causes some trouble in their relationship. I will not tell you too much about it because it's very short. I read it in 2 hours on the train and I really, really liked it. It was charming, it was cute. It's very, I do not want to say ordinary because I loved their relationship, and I really think that they have a good foundation, and think that if a relationship is supposed to be like something, it's supposed to be like this. I don't know. I like their dynamic, I liked how they complemented each other, and I definitely want to read more about them. I really enjoyed it, and I would love to see what happens next. Yay! That's Nick and Charlie, very cute. I gave this book a 4 out of 5, I think, because I want to know more. I have 2 books left, and the last audiobook I listened to this month, I almost said this year, is, this is a big Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. The first part of The Dark Artifices, I think it's Artifices, I'm not sure. I have this book with me because we do own a copy, and I read this in 2016 for the first time. It was a reread, or rather a re-listen, because summer always brings me back to the memories when I read this book, or maybe I read it in 2017. I forgot. I really love where it's set. I cannot tell you too much about it because it's the first book of the 3rd installment in the entire universe, in the entire Shadowhunters universe, but it's the sequel of the Mortal Instruments, and it's the 3rd series that came out after the prequel, The Infernal Devices, and I read those, and I read the Mortal Instruments, and again, I did read this, but I wanted to re-listen to it. I remember when my sister and I talked about the series coming out, she and I thought that we would not like it, even though we loved The Infernal Devices so much, but those are set in the 19th century, and we were like, I don't want anything to come after Clarice and Jace's story, but I love them so much. I know that Cassandra Clare has said controversial things. Again, I feel obligated to tell you that I do not share the views of an author if they said anything controversial. I believe that we can still enjoy their stories without sharing their views and sharing their opinions. I just can't help but love all these characters. This series is set 5 years after the last book of the Mortal Instruments, which is City of Heavenly Fire. So we are in the year of 2012. It's about Emma Carstairs and the Blackthorn family and their bond and their problems and their journey. I will not tell you too much because I would spoil so much, but the Shadowhunters universe is huge. Yeah, I gave this a 5 out of 5. I just love it. It's huge. This copy has 832 pages, so the audiobook was around 23 hours, I think, and Lord of Shadows is even longer, so yay! My reread of the month. And the last book I finished was Morris, or Maurice as I like to call it, because I think it's weird to call it Morris. I don't know why. I grew up that way. By E.M. Forster. I read this book after my friend told me that she loves the movie and I should watch it, and I thought, yeah, but I do like reading the book first, so I read the book first and then watched the movie a few nights ago. This is about a young lad called Maurice Hall, and it starts in 1910. I believe. Maurice, or Morris, sorry, is just a normal young boy, and he grows up and then he gets to college, and then he experiences attraction towards the male gender, and then finds himself in a relationship with someone, and then experiences love for the first time and falling in love. Obviously, just like in a lot of countries now, back then no one was allowed to be gay, or at least you were punished for being gay. Obviously that has consequences, and that has a part in this book, but I'm not sure if I liked Morris or Maurice. I'm not sure if I liked the relationships he got in and the people that he was with. There isn't a lot happening in this book, and that's why it was really, really slow. So it took me a while to get through it. What attracts me towards classics is the language most of the time, and I have to say that there were some beautiful sayings in this book, definitely, but there were books that I really liked more, and there is a type of language that I really love, and sadly this wasn't it. I watched the movie. It was also really slow, even though I really enjoyed the acting and all, but I think it's important. I think back then, the movie came out in 1987, so it was a huge thing, like talking about homosexuality and portraying it in a movie, which shocking, but back then sadly it was, and sometimes it still is, especially for Disney. If someone wants to experience this book, watch the movie. If you want to read this book, that's fine, but the film is very, very accurate, and I would prefer to watch the film rather than the book because it was really slow, and I'm not sure if I liked any of the characters. So I gave this book a 2 out of 5. But I'm still happy that I read it because I'm always happy when I read a book. This was it. This is all that I've read in this month. My highlight of this month. I would like to choose The Lost Apothecary because I really liked it. But I believe I have to choose Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare, even though it was a reread. When you read these books, you spend a lot of time with these characters and you feel like you know them, which might be weird, but that's what I experience, and I always love reading about them, and I love the storyline, I love the universe, I love the characters, so that's why I have to choose this book as my monthly highlight. Please let me know what you read in June, and definitely tell me your highlight of the month. So yeah, this was the video, and I really hope you liked it, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up and comment down below what you would like to see next, and give me book recommendations as always. If you want to, make sure to subscribe, and please don't forget to click the little bell next to the subscription button to never miss an upload. I upload every Thursday and Sunday, and I update you guys here on my Instagram. This feather just scared me. And yeah, I'm gonna have lunch now because I'm hungry, and I hope you have a great day, and I hopefully see you in my next video. Bye guys! And they're lady, thanks. What did I want to say? Oh yeah. I can't speak. But I thought this was okay. And when you experience her, oh meine Fresse. Yeah. Okay, bye guys, bye, I love you.